This Jocks 94.5 podcast is brought to you by Millennium Satellite and Video. Log on to msbnow.com. TV excellence everywhere. That's Millennium. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning starts now.
All right, welcome in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Hope you all had a great weekend. Monday, August 11th, as we are not in game week just yet, but will be a week from today as we continue to get things rolling, leading towards college football season. G-Mac, I know it was an active weekend for you. All over the place, it felt like, taking in sporting events.
Big old weekend. Tuscaloosa on Saturday, Braves game yesterday. Fun couple days for sure as we get ready to send the kids back to school tomorrow. So had to get it in that last weekend.
Might as well get it rolling. There were some good vibes that I saw coming out of the scrimmage for Alabama on Saturday. A couple of folks that I trust saying that things went well, that the offense looked pretty good, a couple of positions beginning to be solidified. You were there along with many others. What were some of your bigger takeaways from the Crimson Tide?
Just number one overall, feel really good about what I saw. Just first scrimmage, 9 practices in, really 8 practices, that being the 9th. It was very clean. You know, usually first scrimmage, defense is way ahead of the offense. Usually first scrimmage, it's still a work in progress offensively. You probably are going to turn it over a time or two. You're probably going to have a couple mistakes with protections, and you're going to have some busted routes and things like that. On one hand, I can count the amount of mistakes made in the game. I'm sure, look, I didn't watch the tape, but just from the layman's point of view, it looked like there were 5 instances in which the receiver and the quarterback might not have been on the same page. Looked like there were maybe, and then in addition to that, maybe a handful in which the protection wasn't super sound. Like for it being, there was 1 busted coverage. I mean, all things considered, man, I thought it was a very, very, very strong first scrimmage. So we always talk about this. How often is the defense way in front of the offense in fall camp? At this point,
I would say a lot.
A lot.
Just because defense a lot of times is just cut loose, see ball, get ball, go attack, go find a way to make a play, and the offense kind of not all on the same page, takes a little bit longer. So, yeah, oftentimes defense way ahead.
Yeah, usually we used to get our butts kicked in the first scrimmage. And then the second scrimmage, we'd bounce back. That was like rinse and repeat. So to see the offense that far ahead of schedule was extremely encouraging, especially knowing some of the new pieces that are rolling in on that side of the ball, especially at quarterback. So we'll get into the details of the actual scrimmage itself, but I'll start with just saying really impressed with how clean the operation was, really impressed with how the guys were practicing. I mean, they were hitting, man. It really was. It was watching it from the field. It was very impressive.
Do you feel like lack of intensity was a little bit of an issue at times for Alabama last year?
Yeah.
I feel like it was inconsistent.
Yeah.
It's like we've talked about with sort of running the ball at will. That happened late in the Missouri game. It happened late in the Wisconsin game. That didn't feel consistent. Disruption up front didn't feel consistent. So if that's something that can show up more often for this team, obviously going to give them big advantages.
I think it was very encouraging. I also noticed, too, big picture, having been around the program last year, having watched them in practice up close, having sized up the guys and talking to them and visiting with them throughout the season, they're noticeably bigger. And I'm not saying, like, look how big. No, I mean, like, in the areas in which you want them to be a little bigger, they are noticeably bigger. The running backs look absolutely enormous, like just pounding it. And Jam Miller got in on the action on that as well. Like he had a couple of really tough runs. Very impressed with what I saw from the running backs. I feel like the end of the line of scrimmage, the edge guys look noticeably bigger. I felt like the secondary has always looked big to me. It's a big secondary for the most part, especially at corner. But I just feel like the group across the board, it just looks like they've had a really good offseason. You know what I mean? Like on the hoof, it looks like they've had a good offseason.
No, and that can be great, specifically when depth is a concern for everybody right now. You want your guys to physically just be more ready, be more capable. Kalen DeBoer recapping the scrimmage from Tuscaloosa over the weekend.
Good scrimmage for the guys. I I say it seems like every time, but I felt good about the back and forth. There's times the offense moved the ball, especially early up the field, and defense did a nice job anchoring down as the scrimmage went along. And we got into some situations at the end, some end of game stuff that I think is really important. Things that we're able to do much more and be comfortable repping those things. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but that's why we practice, and got some end of the game situations in there at the end too. So just kind of last second stuff, 7 seconds and last play of the game type thing.
And a lot of those situational items too, Greg, I almost feel like if you're able to be, I'm not going to say masterful or perfect with those, but if you're solid in some of your red zone stuff, into game stuff, that's right now in camp, you're ahead of the curve. Especially on offense, you're feeling pretty good about that. If situational football is a strength of yours right now. And
there were throughout it, there was a couple goal line stands. Like there was a couple things that were for the defensive standpoint, like it was very impressive. I cannot tell you how impressed I was just across the board. And like he said, situationally, man, like third downs in red zone this time of year is it's you're not there yet offensively. It takes a long time to get there. That's when the field shrinks and it becomes challenging. And I thought they did a great job for the most part of just not having huge mistakes. Now, I will say this. I'm a little concerned about special teams. If I'm going to be completely honest, a couple takeaways like of concern. I am curious to see how the pecking order is ultimately going to end up at tight end. I am also a little concerned about punter and kicker. I don't know a lot about those positions. It's not one that we spent a ton of time on this offseason, but that is, I think, something that is worth monitoring at this point board. But man, I think the quarterbacks, and we'll talk about them throughout the day today. I'm just so impressed with what I saw. That's what everybody wants to hear about, right? I think we'll start with Ty. I think Ty was really decisive. I thought he looked really, really comfortable. I thought he made the play of the game, the play of the day towards the end, where he scrambled around, showed some mobility, kept his eyes downfield, hit jam for a touchdown in the end. Like it was just he looks very in control. Now, were there a couple throws that he would have liked to have maybe had back? Sure. Like, yeah, but guess what? It's practice 9. You're going to miss a couple. It just is what it is. I guess it's a good defense too. So, there are probably a couple things he could have cleaned up, but man, I thought I was really impressed with what I saw from him. And then the other two guys, I thought they were great. I thought Austin had a really nice day, as running mostly with the twos, but really, really solid day. And then I think Keelan, from an arm talent standpoint, ball jumps out of his hand, man, really throws a nice ball. And he's got a lot of velocity on it, though.
Part of the problem is they show those throws in the 2 or 3 highlights that people get from practice, and he should be the guy.
Well, know that there's someone that has to be on the receiving end of those howitzers too. And it is a hard ball. But at this point, the operation, cleaning up the operation, making sure everybody's lined up, making sure everything's where it needs to be, that's still a work in progress, as it should be for a true freshman. So very impressed with what I saw from the quarterback position as a whole, but not really one thing that surprised me with that group. I mean, I think it's pretty clear what the pecking order is right now. Doesn't mean it can't change. But I think you should feel good. Whoever plays quarterback for the Tide this year, I think they're going to be in good hands. I really believe that to be the case.
Well, the concerns may be coming with backup quarterback and tight end for you, not backup quarterback for you, but for some others, and then tight end. But Kalen DeBoer also had some concerns after the scrimmage over the weekend.
I mentioned Jam getting some good runs the first couple of plays of the game. Obviously, that meant there were some seams. And so the first drive in particular, some seams. And so we got to be ready to play, gap integrity defensively. But I didn't feel like over the course of the scrimmage, the defense had an issue with the run. So just being ready to go with the first couple plays, the offense got down the field pretty quickly. Defense did a nice job anchoring down and keeping them out of the end zone, though, at the end. So some good give and take. When I say that, that's kind of the first drive only. But I thought they did a good job. And so then on the alternative, what you'd like to see is the offense continue to execute, right, and the run game. And it wasn't like they were bad, but those explosives that you want to try to see, certainly the defense did a nice job of clamping it down.
All right, so that's Kalen DeBoer on a couple of the concerns coming out of the scrimmage from over the weekend. Also, Greg brought up quarterbacks, Kalen DeBoer, on how the quarterbacks looked in the scrimmage and this past week of practice.
They've done a great job, first of all, taking care of the football. No picks today, a few touchdown passes between all three of them. And the completion percentage over the course of camp for all three has been in that, range that we want. Like to have a minimum of 65%. And they just did a good job being consistent, but they've taken care of the football. I think there's maybe 3 picks all camp. When you talk about 7-on-7 drills, team drills, I might be off one, probably not off 2, but they've done a good job taking care of the football. And I think the first week just missed a few plays. The last practices, finding the ways to get explosives. I think, command in the huddle. I think your 2 guys that have been around the offense the longest, Ty and Austin, when they get in a huddle and they got to rattle off a play, they're sharp and confident with it. Keelan's still learning those things, but he's doing a great job. The progress is something that you'd hope for, and he's right there. So, explosive opportunities, they got the ball there. They delivered the ball. And timing, I feel like very few times are we in a spot where we're not throwing on time, not confident with where we should deliver the ball.
What would your ideal scenario for Keelan Russell be this year, Greg? If you could have it go exactly the way you wanted to, what would you want to see here from him this season?
Be the 3 quarterback. Run the scout team. That's ideal.
But I want you to also take into consideration today's college football.
Yeah.
That's still what you would want.
Yes. Hang on a second. Let me just for a moment. Who is the first family of football?
The Matthews.
From a standpoint, yes.
From a position people really care about, the Mannings.
Yes, thank you.
No, still say Matthews. Line of scrimmage family.
Right, no one breeds guards like him. All barrel-chested and jacked. No, the Mannings. Who knows? Answer me this. Who knows better than quarterback development in the Manning family? Seriously.
The Maranoviches? Nobody.
Too soon.
I would say nobody.
Okay, it's like if they know the blueprint to getting you to the finish line and to be the best possible player that you can become, don't you think that would have maybe applied to how they're raising their grandson/nephew?
I mean, I feel like that's probably fair to at least observe and say, yeah, they've got it figured out a little bit.
If they thought it was in the best interest of Arch to start as a true freshman, you think he would have gone to Texas?
No.
If they thought it was in the best interest of Arch to be anything other than the 3rd quarterback year 1, you think they would have gone to Texas? Or, I don't know, stayed at Texas?
I'm going to guess no.
Reminder, he was 3rd string his freshman year behind Malik Murphy and Quinn Ewers. And a reminder as well, Malik Murphy started multiple games that year. So, if I don't trust the Mannings on what it should look like to develop a young quarterback, then who the heck am I supposed to trust? So that's fine. If Keelan and his camp decide, yeah, you know what, that's not what's best for me. I got to play now, which, by the way, after talking to the young man after the scrimmage, I don't get the sense that he's got, I don't get the sense that he's real frustrated with his situation. He's a tremendous young kid. All 3 quarterbacks, visiting with all of them, really, really like the personalities in the room. They're very supportive of one another. Just a really healthy quarterback room from a competition standpoint, but also from just a support standpoint, which you got to have, by the way.
Yeah.
You got to have a good backup. If your backup's a slap, that's not good, right? It's just the truth. It's not good at all. You want the backup to want to play, but you want the backup to support the starter. And I feel like that is a very, very healthy dynamic that's going on right now in the locker room. I don't think it's in his best interest to be out there on the field in year 1 unless he is 100% the best man for the job. And based on what I saw on Saturday, I don't think he is. At this point, doesn't mean that can't change in 4 months. But guess what? Had I gone to scrimmage, and did, by the way, in 2017, I didn't think Tua was better than Jalen. But guess what? 4 months later, he was.
Right.
On that one day, right? So anything can happen down the road. But I think the best case scenario is he is a backup the entire season. Third string for the entire season. Gets used to the speed of the game, acclimates. And you know what also that means? That means that Ty and or Austin, we'll use Ty in this scenario. That means that he's done what he's supposed to do too. He's had a great year because then you're not peeking over your shoulder. So perfect world, as a Bama fan, I would love nothing more than for Keelan to redshirt this year to get bigger, year to get stronger, year to get more comfortable, year to acclimate to allowing the game to progress a little faster, play a little faster, all that stuff. And then next year, you throw your hat in the ring. That's ideal scenario for me.
Okay. You don't feel like you need to see him in game. Don't need to feel like some situational stuff or even just clean up stuff late.
Well, the beauty is you can redshirt and play 4 now.
That's fair. Yeah.
I think that's great. If they can get him in some games, that's fantastic. But guys, Austin Mack's pretty good too. Like just so you know, like I know that people are freaking out and whatnot, but like Austin Mack,
there are a lot of people excited about him this time last year, and it's like that kind of went away. And now everybody's forgotten that he was somebody that this coaching staff really liked.
He could throw it now.
It showed some signs of being able to do some things. Size, obviously, a big advantage for him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now it's like people kind of don't want him to be great or be good, but he feels a little forgotten in this entire thing.
He's pretty good. Now, he doesn't have the same level of quick twitch mobility that the other two guys have, but, man, he's got a live arm. I mean, he can really throw it. So I like what I saw from the quarterbacks this weekend, man. Like, I got to be honest, like, I didn't expect them to look as good as they did. You want to be honest? I was real optimistic with what I saw. The decisiveness of Ty, getting the ball out, knowing exactly where to go with the football, letting your feet talk to you. Like, I thought he had one bad decision in the entire day. One bad decision, which on practice 9? That's phenomenal.
That's great.
There were 2 instances in which him and the receiver were on the same page. One, he thought he was going to go back shoulder. One, he thought the receiver was going downfield, which, by the way, that's going to happen week 10 of the season. That just happens. And then one in the end zone where he thought receiver was going to cross face. I think he made the right decision there. Receiver made the wrong decision there. But either way, like two where he wasn't on the same page with the receiver. Easy to clean up. And guess what? Always a work in progress there. And then I thought he made the play of the game. The play of the day. The best play by a quarterback was made by Ty. I was very impressed. I think he should feel great about where he's at. And I think the other two guys should feel good about where they're at, too, because I thought they did a lot of really nice things. Keelan is a freshman, a lot of nice things. A lot of things clean up, but a lot of nice things. And Austin, I thought he impressed me a lot with how he threw the ball down the field.
We've got plenty of time to talk about Alabama. We'll do that, but there is some interesting news out of Waco with Auburn's first opponent. We'll talk to Parker Rehm about Baylor when we come back from break. First time I'll tell you that for over 50 years, my friends at Royal Automotive have been helping our friends and neighbors experience how car buying should be. Right now, get financing as low as 0% with approved credit on select models through August 31st. Certain restrictions apply. 4 dealerships, 1 destination, unmatched selection and savings. Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Automart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia. From sales to service, the team at Royal can help you find that new ride and keep you rolling. When it's time to start searching for your next vehicle, all 4 stores in one location means you can get behind the wheel for a test drive without driving all over town. And when they say for every ride there's Royal, they mean it. If you're shopping for that very first ride or your dream ride, go see my friends at Royal. Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Automart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia, online at royalautomotive.net. We've got injury news from all across college football, some from inside the SEC, other news around SEC teams. We'll go around SEC camps in the 8 o'clock hour. Matt Moscano will join us from Baton Rouge to discuss some interesting news from LSU. Bruce Feldman's with us in the 9 o'clock hour, but we'll talk Baylor and a key piece that may be missing for the Auburn game next on Mac and Cube in the morning.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, and 3-Man Front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. We're going to talk some Baylor football. Auburn's opener in Waco. Some injury news that Parker Rehm's going to give us here in just a moment. You're going to have to wait for that, but one thing you never have to wait for, GMAC, is your dental care.
That's because Family Care Dental has you taken care of. They're the urgent care office where you can be seen the same day in several locations to make it easy on you. Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and Trustful. They can get you in the same day. Look, we know for a lot of folks, school has started, but for school is starting for us tomorrow. So those of you that are maybe in need of a dental cleaning before school starts, ate nothing but candy all off season, I can understand that. It's about what we did. So if you need to get in, get things taken care of before the school year gets underway, Family Care Dental can do it for you. They can probably get you in today. They can see you on Fridays and Saturdays, especially as the schedule gets a little bit more challenging. So go and see them and call them today at 874-9605. That's Family Care Dental, 874-9605.
All right, so we'll talk about Auburn's opener. Of course, Baylor going to be that team, and some injury news coming out of Baylor from over the weekend. Parker Rehm going to join us now, sports director at KWKT, Fox 44 there in Waco. Running back depth might now be an issue for Dave Aranda's squad. Parker, can you give us an update from over the weekend of how this will affect the Bears?
Yeah, guys, pleasure to be joining you guys this morning. We heard it from Dave Aranda. We actually saw Dawson Pendergrass, who's basically the second running back on the depth chart, but almost a 1A, 1B kind of situation for Baylor. Dave Aranda's offenses are known for having two running backs that kind of shoulder the load and then, depth past that point. But we learned on Saturday, Dave told us that Dawson is out for the season with a foot injury that requires surgery. That's about as much detail as he went into it. So big blow for the offense. I think it's not end of the world like some fans have been saying, but I think it's a major loss this early in the season for the Bears.
Really disappointing. Obviously, Washington's still going to be great as their number one back, but what does the depth look like beyond him?
Well, you got a couple freshmen in the mix. I think somebody that is super exciting for Baylor fans and somebody that you expected to see a little bit mixed in there, but maybe not the role that he's now going to take on is Caden Knighton, a freshman, four-star freshman that some Baylor Bears on the team are calling him Little Scattaboo, so baby Scattaboo. You get a sense there's a combination of speed, quickness, but also the ability to drive through contact. And that's something that made Dawson Pendergrass so good is yards after contact. I think Bryson Washington does a lot of that, but, the more carries you get, the more wear and tear that takes on your body. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how he divvies up the workload and the timeshare in that backfield.
Parker Rehm joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, covers the Baylor Bears for Fox 44 there in Waco. All right, so we wanted to get the injury news right out of the way because that felt like the most important thing coming out of the weekend for the Baylor Bears. But up until then, through Saturday, other than that, what has been Dave Aranda's sort of feel for camp, his thoughts on just kind of where this team has been so far?
I think it's kind of a different mindset as opposed to recent years. Obviously, a couple down years for Dave Aranda. He was on that hot seat. Now it's cooled down a little bit. You're going into a confident fall camp where this team really feels like the sky's the limit this year. And I think that's kind of what Dave Aranda's played into throughout fall camp is we are that team. Now it's time, and we've seen it last year. Now it's time to go show that. And it's just a confident group, whether it's offense or defense, special teams. I think the Bears really feel like they should be one of the top dogs in the Big 12, maybe in the country.
Looking at the quarterback growth, a lot of the reason why people feel really confident is with what Sawyer Robertson's going to do and his progress that he made throughout the course of last season. I don't think there were many in the country playing better than he was down the stretch in the regular season. So can he pick up right where he left off, and how confident are they in his growth and potential to kind of carry them this season?
Well, I think that confidence, you say that he got confident towards the end of the season, and that hot stretch that Baylor went on was primarily him. He's been through so many quarterback battles throughout his time at Baylor. It seems like every single year he's having to fight with somebody for that starting spot. And he lost the first two battles, whether it was Blake Shapen, who now's in Mississippi State, or DeQuan Finn, who was brought in for $1 million to be the starting quarterback. And then both of them get injured and Sawyer Robertson gets his time in the spotlight. But this time he really solidified it last year. That was week 3 against Air Force. And, you saw this confidence build throughout the season that he can do this. And I think that's something that Dave Aranda said too, was he didn't see that before. He didn't know that he had that in him. Now it's like everyone's rallying around Sawyer Robertson. So I think it's going to be a special year for him. He's certainly got the weapons in the skill positions, but can he just replicate what he did? If people say if Sawyer's being Sawyer, they're going to be just fine this year.
What about the offensive scheme and any differences that may be there? Any, I guess, confusion, anything that will be taking a little while to catch up, because it's obviously going to be there's some different principles that are going to be a part of what they're running this year as opposed to last year.
Yeah, I think where that all resides is from Jake Spavital, who is really a top-tier offensive mind in the country. He brought Baylor's offense from pretty much stagnant the past 2 years before he got here to, firing on all cylinders past week 3. So I think that's where you got to look in terms of the offensive scheme. Is they really adapted pretty quick, and I think it fits much better for Sawyer Robertson to just be going up tempo. That's pretty much what they pride themselves on, is getting to the line, running a play. And you saw that last year. I mean, the run game was working, the pass game was working. The offensive line got a greater push than it's ever gotten, in the Dave Aranda era. And I think that's what they need this year.
Finally, defensively, as they get ready to go up against this Auburn Tiger RPO type of team, and as I believe Cole likes to call him, Dave Aranda being kind of that assassin's mentality, the quiet assassin. Yeah. He's going to have something. He's going to have a couple unique looks that he's just thought about and drawn up probably on a whiteboard all off season. How likely is it that they come out week 1 and throw a huge curveball at Auburn with what they do structurally on the defensive side?
Yeah, I think we heard last year that Dave Aranda was going to take a more intuitive approach with the defense, maybe be more involved in the defense, because obviously, he's a defensive coach. He used to be a defensive coordinator, one of the best defensive minds, you hear from other coaches all throughout the country. And he called it an ugly baby. He's always known for his metaphors too. So he called the defense his ugly baby. You got to love it nonetheless, even if it's ugly. And it was last year. I think that's something that he's trying to shake up this year, and he's got the talent to do so. But I would expect something with Auburn's offense and just the duality of it to maybe shake things up. Might look a little bit different in week 1, just to throw some curveballs at the Tigers, because if you're going to win an SEC game like that at home to open the season on a Friday night under the lights there, you got to do something to shake them up.
I've heard, Parker, that there's just a lot around the program going into this game, be it blackout, message boards saying, going out of their way not to let Auburn fans get tickets, people that bring it back to the game. Like, what? Just kind of give us the feel from Waco in general, the program in general, the fan base in general, of maybe what they're doing that shows how much this game means to the program and the fan base.
Well, the moniker SEC just means more. I think that's honestly the vibe that we're getting around Waco right now. And I think head to head, Baylor and Auburn have only played twice, if I'm not mistaken. That just screams prime time game. It's actually on our channel, Fox 44, that night. It coincides with the first week of high school football, which is huge down here in Texas. I think that it's the perfect storm almost, so to speak. And I think fans are excited. Baylor fans are very passionate anyways, but to get the Auburn Tigers in Waco at McLean Stadium, same night as high school football, you just can't beat it. And blackout on the Brazos too. Baylor was 2-0 in those anthracite black uniforms last year. I think they're trying to go 3-0 at least in the past 3 games, and we'll see what happens on August 29th.
We appreciate the time, appreciate the updates today, Mike. Thanks so much for hopping on. We'll catch up again soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right, there you go. Mike Rehm joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, covers the Baylor Bears for Fox 44 there in Waco. And we'll start with the injury news, Greg. It's it's super disappointing for Baylor fans and super disappointing for the individual. But Dawson Pendergrass, second leading rusher last year, 671 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns. He's going to miss the entire season. Also, somebody who has had 37 catches in 2 years, so valuable out of the backfield as well. Not the leading rusher, not the number one guy, but just you don't want to have to start playing with your depth right in the middle of camp, specifically with somebody that you were going to be relying upon. Yeah,
it's a bummer. And Pendergrass really complimented Bryce Washington well last year. I mean, he can do some things out of the backfield. He has some versatility. It allowed them to play both those guys on the field at the same time if they wanted to. So losing him is a bit of an issue. Now, it's running back, and they have 3 more guys, and it sounds like they're high on the freshman. And that is a position where, as a freshman, you can get on the field, but you lose a little bit most of the time in protection. That's, I think, the big key. And Bryson Washington is fine as a blocker, but it's not really his specialty by any stretch. So to lose a guy that was 240 pounds, that was real reliable in that area is a problem. So that's probably the biggest takeaway for me is how now will they evolve to the point where they can really protect the quarterback? Because Sawyer Robertson, while mobile, I think it's going to be important for them to make sure that he is as safe as can be there in the backfield.
Yeah, and it's you mentioned protection. I would say almost protection and security. It just a lot of times doesn't feel like freshmen have the understanding of ball security like they need to. Just it hasn't probably had to be something.
They've never been hit like they're going to get hit.
Yeah, it's just you haven't had guys with the emphasis of taking the football away that are as big and strong as they're going to have in college football. So there are complications that come with it, but obviously if you were going to offset it, running back would probably be one of the few positions that you'd feel best about it if you were going to have to do it. Does it change your opinion on this game at all when you hear kind of how much is going into it from a community standpoint out of Waco that they're going to go blackout again? They're going out of their way to make sure Auburn fans don't get tickets. I know that sounds like something that's going to happen everywhere, but not a lot of fan bases have that wherewithal to get out there and say, hey, don't let them infiltrate our territory. And Dave Aranda pointing out multiple times this offseason about this is an SEC opponent. We know what that means. We know what this can do for our program if we get that game. Does it change your opinion on it one way or the other? Because that can go the other way where you're like, hey, if you are putting all those emphasis on all those things, you might not be putting enough on the scheme and the players you're going to be up against.
Well, not only is it concerning if you lose that game, I don't think it's as much about how it impacts the preparation leading into it. I think it more impacts the reaction after the fact in the event in which they lose. When you go all in on a game like this and come up short, it can have a devastating effect in the locker room. But this should not come as a surprise. This is a huge opportunity on Friday night, massive audience. There is another game up against it, Colorado, Georgia Tech, but I would say both games are going to be watched and consumed by a lot of people there on Friday night. There are some other games too, but it's a big one. So I'm not surprised that Dave Aranda is going all in, because what's the biggest win of his tenure? The Sugar Bowl win over Ole Miss. Like, he knows the importance of welcoming an SEC team in, how much it helps in recruiting, how much it helps in just kind of setting the narrative straight for them if they win this game. So, yeah, it's a massive one, and one that I don't think is going to be taken lightly at all by the Baylor Bears.
Yeah, I would be there with you. And you don't like to hear this injury news this point in time in camp with somebody you were going to lean on, but Auburn obviously has their news coming out of camp. We're going to get to some of that on the other side. Also, you hear more from Kalen DeBoer. We have a question about Alabama's practice coming in for GMAC that we'll get to on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll get to that. Tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Your thoughts on this Auburn-Baylor game or where Alabama is in practice right now. 205-834-9450. You can be a part of the show on the Higginbotham hotline. We'll discuss all of that and more and get to a certain one of your questions about what happened with Alabama Saturday next when we come back right here on Jocks.
The capital of the sports talk nation. This is Jocks 94.5 and JocksFM.com. Birmingham.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. You can always tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. Be a part there. If you have questions, concerns, things you want to get in, things that are on your mind, let us know about that. If you are looking to get to a new home, however, Gusty Goulis and the Gusty Goulis Group can help you there. It's easy, and you know it's going to be effective because the Gusty Goulis Group has served more than 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. You want to know how they've done? Just Google Gusty Goulas Group, and you're going to see over 850 5-star Google reviews. Brokered by eXp Realty. Gusty investing thousands of dollars into the latest tools. You can trust his aggressive and proven selling system. And since 2012, the Gusty Goulas Group recognized both nationally and locally as Greater Birmingham, Alabama's #1 team in homes sold. However, if you're looking to get to a new home, you want to know how much your home is worth, go to GustyGoulsGroup.com right now, button at the top of the page, smash that, very little information. They're going to let you know what they think they can get for your house. And they're going to know what's coming available before it's even on the market. So go to 205-542-1996 on your cell phone today. Ask what they can do for you. That's 205-542-1996 and start packing. All right, question coming into the show, GMAC. Jamie Bailey tweets in, Coach DeBoer mentioned the gaps that the running backs have. Does that mean that the O-line blocking well or the D-line missing assignments? Sorry if this is a dumb question. Not a dumb question at all.
Not at all.
But I will say quickly, Saber number 7 clip, Kalen DeBoer, how Jam Miller and the running backs performed during the scrimmage on Saturday.
Jam started out really well. I think the offensive line did a nice job creating some seams for Jam to hit. Got to the second level, broke a couple tackles. I thought it was one of the better showings I've seen Jam have in a scrimmage. And then, Daniel Hill is a guy we're getting more and more comfortable with. He's big back, but I think he's deceiving when it comes to what he does from a skill set standpoint because he can catch the ball in the backfield. Dre has been consistent all camp long. Thought he poured a couple runs up in there. Did a nice job. Maybe when there's not even something there, just moving the pile and getting those 3-yard gains that are important to setting your offense up for good down and distances. Rich, continues to do his thing too. So all of them, I think Jam, certainly had the best day, and that's been consistent. I feel good about all of them in pass protection. First with their responsibilities and the ability to go up there and execute too and get the job done.
So there you go, Greg. That was Kalen DeBoer's explanation on some of the run game from Saturday. But back to Jamie's question, where would you lean there as far as the responsibility and what might be good, bad about the outcome?
Well, what's the biggest thing that most coaches are freaking out about early in fall camp and early in the season, frankly, is tackling. And let's be real, that's the first time they've gone live. So to have a couple guys get truck sticked is not really that uncommon. I thought Jam looked great. I thought he ran really hard. And guys, they got some backs, man. Daniel Hill is a load at 244 pounds, and he looks it too. I feel like 244 is a bit light, frankly. They are getting downhill and pushing the pile. I was real impressed with what I saw from the backs. I like the freshman, AKD, or number 0. Now, he didn't get a ton of touches, but when you watch him, he kind of looks like a TJ Yeldon body, like kind of long, bit upright, but he's got just like a little bit of wiggle. And I don't know how many touches he's going to end up getting this year, but he's got a chance, I think, in the future to have some real opportunities. But I like the backs. As far as Jamie's question, I don't think it's that uncommon to be a little bit out of sorts from time to time, and the run fits early on. Cole, I think you got to give some credit to the offensive line too. I think the offensive line altogether, vastly improved unit based on what I saw there in the first scrimmage from where they were a year ago. And that's without what I think is one of the great Alabama guards of all time in Tyler Booker. So I don't feel like there's much drop off, which I think is really encouraging. But for the linebackers and the D-line not to all be on the same page, practice 1, scrimmage 1, is not something I'm going to lose a ton of sleep over because it got better as the game went along.
No, and it's something too that it depends on how the defense is playing it. That's something that has an impact everywhere. Are they super aggressive? Are they kind of sitting back, and that can give the offense bigger advantages? Listen, there's some veterans on that Alabama front also, but with as much as this offensive line's played together, even though there are a few new pieces, you look at a couple of the guys that were either banged up last year or missed certain time in spring, whatever that is, they've still been together a lot of practices, a lot of games. The core of this group that's together, Greg, that they should have that understanding of how things are going to operate at this point in time.
Yeah, I think it's fair. And remember too, it's not like Deontay's out there playing 60 snaps. They're trying to figure out what depth looks like at the second level. You never know what the emphasis was defensively. I thought they were pretty dang disruptive up front. with some of their pass rush. And I saw some interior. I didn't have a roster until the end of the scrimmage, but there were some guys up front that were really causing some problems with the pass rush, which I was encouraged by. So maybe it was a little bit more of an emphasis, and hey guys, go shoot your own shot. Like we'll get the run game fit sorted, but like you as a defensive lineman, show out today. Like you guys go get it, and I want to see guys up front go and wear people out. And if we're out of gap, fine. Like we'll figure that out in practice 15. But here on practice 9, I want to see the defensive linemen doing their thing. So maybe that was the emphasis point. You never know. So I wouldn't be super concerned. If anything, my biggest takeaway was the backs were running really hard and were finishing runs. And that's not something we saw all the time last year. So I'm pretty encouraged by what I saw there.
No, and the physicality, the size of the backs, also something that impressed you over the weekend? Very
much so. Like they were Jam. I don't know if it was his first carry of the game, but my goodness, it had to have been like a 30-yard run, and it was just bulldozer. It was like, goodness gracious, that dude looks mad today. So good place to start is a good downhill physical rushing attack, and especially with the young quarterback, an inexperienced quarterback, having a group up front that can control the line of scrimmage and backs that will just make you think twice about coming up and meeting them in the hole. Pretty good spot to start.
I don't think there's any doubt. So you got some veterans on that offensive line. Obviously, the running back rotations look pretty good. You just mentioned that rotation at guard. Kalen DeBoer also, with no Jaden Roberts, just kind of discussing the rotation at guard for this offensive line and how it's looked so far through camp.
With Jaden out today, the rotation was less. It was kind of those guys in there, left guard Cam, right guard Gino. And so that was kind of our lineup. And that's more than likely kind of what it looked like before camp. And, that hasn't really changed much with the main core of 6 guys kind of competing for those spots more days than not.
All right, so let's continue talking Alabama offensive line depth. We'll get to a little bit more on that, get to your calls, your tweets as well, 800-239-9569. And you can always tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. More on Alabama's guard rotation, offensive line depth, how it's looked so far through camp. Next, right here on Jocks.
Go inside Jocks 94.5 on Jocks TV. Morning Jocks, Mac and Cube, 3-man front video simulcasts are presented by Bill Smith Buick GMC and Game Day Men's Health. Watch on the Jocks mobile app and YouTube by searching Jocks 94.5 TV.
All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Some injury news around the SEC. We'll discuss LSU's in the 8 o'clock hour as we go around SEC camps every 8 o'clock hour now leading up to kickoff. As you guys know, that's what we're going to kind of focus on that hour of the show every day until college football begins. Some news out west. Southern California DB Prophet Brown, GMAC, going to be out for the early portion of the season. Undisclosed injury, but a USC defense that we anticipate being a little bit better even than it was last year, which it was improved last year. Going to have one of their stars in the secondary out for the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, not great. But look, the schedule is not outrageous, at least early on, so it can be overcome. But this is a group that took great strides last year. And it doesn't mean that they're a top 10 unit by any stretch, but I think they were somewhere in the mid-60s, up from 120-something the year before. So if they can just kind of stay there and get a little more, not turn it over the way they did at times in the middle of the season last year, like this, I think SC is a big-time sleeper. Like how many teams on their schedule can score with them? There's not many. So I am real optimistic about them, but they're going to kind of need things to align on defense because I don't think their depth is outrageous.
Well, and we'll see if that USC defense can continue to make strides without one of their starters early on. Also, North Carolina offensive lineman Austin Blake, who's played a boatload of snaps for that group over the last few years. Foot injury now bothering him in camp. His status for the opener going to be unknown. We'll continue with some of the injury updates coming out of fall camp. But first, if you'd like to be a part of our Jocks Kickoff party, Damian, tell the listeners how they can do that.
Yeah, you celebrate the kickoff to college football with us at the Bill Smith Buick GMC Jocks Kickoff Party at Regents Field on Thursday, August 21st. And the only way to go is by winning tickets. To win a pair of tickets for you and a guest, text the keyword SCORE and your full name to 205-834-9450. The keyword is SCORE and your full name to 205-834-9450. Winners are drawn and notified daily For more information, visit jocksfm.com.
All right, so we mentioned that guard rotation at Alabama, Greg. It's one of the things that we have referenced this offseason that could be a real strength is the depth at that position, because Gino Vandermark's the guy that just was completely forgotten for a lot of this offseason by a lot of people, but played good football at times for Alabama last year when Jaden Roberts was out. Now Roberts out again, but you get Cam Dewberry from Texas A&M, who I heard may have been a little bit dinged up in this scrimmage on Saturday as well. But either way, you've got that rotation of guards that can get going, maybe a few more now getting reps that you weren't really intending to. But that depth is going to be something that's valuable if specifically those three can be healthy heading into the season.
I like Cam Dewberry a lot. Like, he's well built.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Just your appearance, did he appear to be in okay shape?
Yes.
From what you saw.
Like,
that's critical. I mean, that's the
I'm
thing
telling
I saw
you, he
from
looked
him last
really
year.
sharp.
He looked sloppy a little bit at times last year. He did not look like he was in good football shape. If that can be different, then he can help.
Well, and he got a little banged up early in the scrimmage, but he came back, no problems. Doesn't sound like it's going to be anything long term. He was back in there, I think, when they got into the situational stuff. But I thought he looked really trim. Without having seen him and focused on him really up close last year, I was pretty impressed with what I saw. I think the guards are going to be rock solid. There were a couple things, a little bit on the edges. I thought Caden had a nice day. With the offensive line, I hate saying this, but there wasn't anyone that I saw that I'm like, yeah, that's a problem. I think Wilkin looked ready to roll at right tackle. They look like they're in good shape there. I think the offensive line has a chance to be a real position of strength this year. And part of it has to do with the depth at guard. I think Dewberry's got a chance to have a really nice season.
So if that guard depth is solid for Alabama, it's going to be a huge advantage. We know what they've got at center, and I don't know what would be next after Brailsford and how big the drop-off would be, but it would be significant either way because he just means that much. But this is a group that Alabama has a chance to be able to lean on. And they'll get a good test with Florida State right out of the gate. And if you can prove that you can do it there, I think it's something consistently they are not only going to want to do, but might be able to do throughout the course of the season. All right, we go around SEC camps. When we come back, Matt Moscona gives us some injury updates from Baton Rouge. And we'll give you other injury updates from the SEC next right here on Jocks.
This is McElroy and Cubelic in the morning.